Lee Anderson, MP, has backed executions for some crimes, saying it has a 100% success rate in stopping reoffending. Yeah, that's right. And the mistakes in justice that have sent people to their death have a 100% failure rate in being put right. He might be onto something, though. I mean, if we killed everyone at birth, there'd be no crime at all, ever. I mean, you can 100% prove that. Let's give it a go. I'm just talking common sense. Senior Labour and Scottish National Party figures lined up to attack Lee Anderson, saying he was talking nonsense and the Tories were scraping the barrel. Wow. I mean, the Tories at this point have scraped through the bottom of the barrel and are digging through the ground to unearth what they can. Meanwhile, some of those scraping Conservatives said Lee Anderson should be nicknamed He Stands For Me Lee, because he represents the views of millions. Yeah, and he does. He does represent the views of millions. Millions of people who breathe with their mouths open and drag their knuckles along the floor when they walk. This is an actual sentence as it appeared in the Mail. Quotes, one expert said, we need more people like Lee Anderson because so many MPs are university-educated career politicians. An expert says... An expert said that, did they? Yesterday, Fishy Sunak ruled out the return of the death penalty. He said, that's not my view, that's not the government's view. Yeah, excellent work there, Fishy. It only took one day for you to have to distance yourself from the man that you just promoted. Who could have predicted that? I mean, let's see how the uber-rich of the Tory party actually want to be associated with 30p Lee. I mean, will they be inviting him along to Chequers for an away day? Will he be seconded for a membership to one of their private clubs? Because the Tory machine is already bouncing up and down with glee at the prospect of labelling anyone who disagrees with Lee as being snobbish. Yeah, but that's just to try to defang the attacks on a person who seems to be being deliberately divisive. Same as people criticise the stupid things that Priti Patel and Suella Braverman say, and the Tories come back with, oh, well, that's racist, that is. It's not racist to disagree with somebody not the same race as you if they're saying repellent and cruel and stupid things. Any more than it's being a snob to criticise a person who might be sounding like the ranting bore propping up the pub bar. And the PM's spokesmodel said that Lee Anderson does not speak for the government because he's not a minister, which is an odd thing to say. Because Lee Anderson was promoted out of nowhere, based, presumably, on his ability to appall the very people that make up the heart of the Tory government. Rich, metropolitan, privately educated. And as long as they can keep him at arm's length, the perfumed super-rich in the cabinet can keep impoverishing the regions while appearing to be concerned because they've got this bloke standing next to them. In the interview published in The Spectator, Anderson said migrants crossing the channel in small boats should be turned into sausages. People in the media should be thrashed to within an inch of their lives if they write something negative about our great country. And welfare claimants should be forced to live in a shoebox and lick road clean with tongue. It's all plain common sense. I made that up, but it's not as ridiculous as millionaire Tories calling the Labour Party snobs for not agreeing with a man who wants state-sanctioned killings. God, what a way to run a country, eh?
Dreadful.
The new Deputy Chairman of the Conservative Party has called for the return of the death penalty, saying it has a 100% success rate in stopping criminals offending again. That's just true. Lee Anderson also said that migrants crossing the channel in small boats should be returned to France the same day on a Royal Navy frigate. And he criticised his party for being too scared to reform the welfare system. And the man who appointed him, Fishy Sunak, seems intent on breaking his own record in the speed of regret at his latest promotion. The MP for Ashfield in Nottinghamshire was this week promoted to the key role in the Tories' general election campaign. The plan, if there is one, rather than just flailing around like a drunken octopus, is that he can speak to the UKippers, who can't be reached by someone who went to Eton, for instance.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Or who isn't that funny bloke off the telly. or who isn't a person that even the Tories wouldn't contemplate living with.
I'm a nutcase.
So it's down to Lee Anderson to fill that role. This bloke who recently challenged Steve Bray, the flamboyant protester outside Parliament, to a fight, and enjoys getting his photograph taken with his fists up, like he's at school and he's 10. Rather cementing in place the idea I have of him as the bully in some dismal TV show about how dreadful school can be. I mean, he's been brought in to sharpen the Tories' appeal among the working-class voters in the red wall seats. And the Tories have held their collective noses and appointed him to sharpen their appeal in the North because they've done absolutely nothing for the North except for saying that they'll do things to help the North. You know, since they started spouting up levelling up nonsense, the plight of the poorer regions has got worse, while the amount of money earned by and spent on the South has rocketed. People of the regions, are you getting the feeling that you've been had? Or are you willing to suspend your disbelief because a straight-talking, mean-what-I-say northerner has been allowed into the ante-room? Not the main room, of course. The ante-room. He's outside. And he swiftly got into maximum distraction mode, making the Tory high table giddy with delight at the fact that the press were not asking questions of them anymore. But I think they're a bit frightened that they might not be able to control him like they thought they would. And the things he came out with are the usual things that you'd read on the foaming end of the comment section of the right-wing papers' websites. I mean, it's easy. Literally anyone can do it. Hang them all. Make benefits claimants pick spuds for their money, get the long-term sick out of their beds and force them into work because they're mostly faking it. The poor only have themselves to blame. Idlers should be punished. Immigrants, push them back out to sea. Let them drown. And you're a traitor if you disagree. See? It's a piece of cake. I mean, you'll get a loud cheer for every one of those stupid ideas because, and this isn't being snobbish to say it, the masses are asses. At the last general election and the one before, the poor voted in greater numbers than the rich for the Conservatives, a party whose every action and instinct is to make the poor poorer and the rich richer. I mean, that obviously makes no sense. Yeah, it was a decision that the electorate made, and they're less well off for making it, and they'll do the same thing again and again and again, while going on social media and saying, well, it would be worse under Labour, when it verifiably wasn't the last time Labour were in power. I mean, tell me I'm wrong. Am I right or am I right? And as for that bloke wanting to bring back the death penalty, I mean, it's just, you could set your watch by it. In an interview in The Spectator, Lee Anderthal, I like that, he said he would bring back the death penalty. Of course he did. Because that's just the fellow he is. Lee Anderson also said that migrants arriving in Britain are seeing a country where the streets are paved with gold, where, once you land, they are not in that manky little bleeping, scruffy tent. They are going to be in a 4-star hotel. He said, I'd send them back the same day, and they'd just stop coming. Anderson also said the Tories were too scared to tighten the welfare system because it's like picking on poor people, when actually most working class people would agree with me, he says. No. Just because you identify as working class, it doesn't mean to say that all working class people agree with you. But I can understand why a middle class, privately educated Tory would think that. Oh, we'll get the, some common bloke from up north, and then all the common people from up north will be on side again. Poor! Tory chairman Greg Hands said, oh, you'll love this. I know I did. Tory chairman Greg Hands said, Lee Anderson is a fantastic asset for the party. He is a man of great integrity and a fantastic background. Really? Integrity? He got caught getting one of his friends to pose as an anti-Labour swing voter to impress a reporter from the Daily Mail. I mean, famously. If you haven't seen the video yet, then it's up there on the World Wide Wait. Lee Anderson, standing for the Tories in Ashfield in Nottinghamshire, forgot that he was wearing a live microphone while he phoned his friend and set up the fake encounter to impress the journalist. He said, "Make out you know who I am. You know, I'm the candidate, but not a friend, all right?" Anderson was recorded saying that as he spelled out instructions to his friend minutes before bringing a journalist to his door. You get the picture? He also appeared to lie about the content of the phone call, commenting to the reporter as he hung up that it was about some leaflets that have just come for me. And upon arriving at the doorstep, the supposed swing voter told the Tory candidate, Lee Anderson, "There's no way Labour are ever going to get my vote again," before heartily endorsing Mr. Anderson's policy of sending problem tenants to Labour camps. It was only after the filming that production staff at the Mail managed to tell the reporter that they had recorded Anderson setting up the meeting because he was wearing a switched-on radio microphone. Integrity!
This government will have integrity, professionalism and accountability at every level.
Yeah, and how's that going, by the way?
Oh, fabulous.
What a way to run a country, eh?
Dreadful.
And, by the way, can you be working class and on £86,000 a year plus £250,000 in expenses?
No.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think so.